Smooth 98.1 here. We are gone past 6:30 on a Thursday morning, and this is a Business Express on Smooth Breakfast. I'm Shokwe Martins, and Rotus is joining me for the next 15 minutes. Good morning, Rotus.
Good morning, Shokwe. Good morning to all our listeners out there. Good to be with you all on a Thursday.
Okay, so Rotus, I know people are going to want to talk about this because we're going to be talking about the increase in salaries that we heard a hint of from the Minister of Labor and Employment. So to join this conversation, you know the drill. If you're just tuning in for the first time and joining Business Express, welcome. We appreciate you. Stick with us. And you can send WhatsApp messages to 0809 440 981. We are also streaming live up on youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos. If you're up on the YouTube stream, join the conversation by going through the live chat and leaving your comment there. Or you can go over to Twitter and use the hashtag Business Express 981. So, Rotus, an increase in the wage bill, can we handle that? First things first.
Yeah, that's the question. Chris Ngige said he had a meeting with the president about raising salaries for civil servants and quote unquote bringing it in line with economic realities, i.e. Inflation, which is at 21%, I think a 17-year high. And they're saying they'll do it in 2023, which is very convenient because that's, the year that they are leaving office.
Rotus, I have to say, also the fact that it's just about how many days are we here? It's the 29th, 3 days around the corner.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So it does sound a bit cynical. Chris Ngige, I do wonder how history will review his tenure as Minister of Labor and Employment. He, famously said doctors can leave the country and that will get back remittances from them, that they'll send money back to the country. He famously didn't fix the ASU situation. That was something that plagued him for many, many years. And he never fixed unemployment. Under his tenure, unemployment has ballooned to 33%. Festus Keyamo, I think, is the Minister of State for Employment. He is now a spokesperson for the ruling party's candidate, so he's not concerned with employment. And this is one of the main economic metrics that tells you about the health of the economy. In fact, so for 2 years now, the Bureau of Statistics has not given us updated unemployment figures. The last one, the 33% unemployment, which is one of the highest in the world, that we keep throwing around, that is from Q4 2020 from the Bureau of Statistics. So those numbers are not updated. And then there's the question of this being an election, and an election is around the corner. So it's real nice to say this right now and dangle something in front of civil servants saying that you're going to review their salaries. Look, the inflation figures, or even that figure, our inflation basket has not been reviewed since I think 2009 or so. It's been a number of years. We're supposed to be reviewing that basket every 5 years. Financial Derivatives, a company that's run by Bismarck Rawane, says that they rejigged the basket. They ran some models, some scenarios, and came up with anywhere from 45 to 74, so it's something percent for inflation. So
Rotus, I'm sorry, but you know the quality of the people that we have, or the mindset of the people that we have in the relevant positions. First of all, who's going to want to review a basket if it's going to take inflation from the 20s to the 50s to 80s? They're not going to do that.
Right. But you can't fix what you can't measure, as they say. So we don't have updated unemployment figures. We don't have what I believe are accurate inflation numbers. So we're just chugging along, kicking the can down the road. If salaries were to be, look what's happened in the UK. There are nurses that have been fighting with the UK government now for weeks, striking, saying that their salaries have to be increased with present day realities. The UK has an energy price cap. That is, they are capping the amount of which UK citizens can pay bills in order to try to offset the impact of rising inflation. Spain just yesterday came out with, what was the amount? I can't remember. It was $40-something billion package, welfare to assist their citizens. Brazil raised the spending cap for government for their new presidents that came in to try to help them. France, I mean, all these, even Ghana, South Africa, they all spent a sizable amount of money trying to cushion their citizens from the inflation spike. So, not sure, as far as what Nigeria has done to try to assist citizens here. The sad thing is that we are an employer's market. So you've got, if you open up a job post now at Smooth FM, like 1 million people will apply because there's so many people looking for jobs. So employers have the pick of the litter as far as who they use to fill positions. So they are in control. It's not like, it's not the other way around where they're desperately looking for people to fill, and it's a competitive market where salaries are high. So you put all that together, and that's why you have a government that can take its time when it comes to raising salaries. I mean, you can imagine we had a pandemic in 2020, and at the end of 2022, you're now talking about possibly in 2023, 3 years later, raising salaries that are in line with quote unquote economic realities. There's also the currency. I mean, FTC, Bismarck Rawane, the economist that runs financial derivatives, said that foreign exchange, is responsible for as much as 70% of our inflation as a pass-through effect on that. So, Sope, when you put all this together, this is coming very late. It sounds very cynical. It's coming right before an election, and they never give you the details.
And are we actually going to see it? We're not going to see it materialize. I should have asked that as a question, but it felt so very much like a statement that I had to put it out as a statement. They're considering it. There are no plans. There's no action. Like you said, there's no information really, except, we're thinking about it.
Right. And that's it. And they'll dangle 2023 in front of you to entice you, make it look like they're doing something. The government has revenue challenges. If you had the money to raise salaries, you wouldn't have an issue with ASU. You would have sorted out the ASU situation a long time ago. You would have also come up with a revenue model that allows universities in Nigeria to fund themselves, so the government isn't on the hook for their salaries, and it wouldn't have made all the promises that they made in order to pay them. So that's where we are. That's the reality.
Rotus. So one question I want to ask you is this: in this past year, as we've been kind of analyzing what's been going on and how government policies and the different ministries and departments and agencies, what they've been doing and how their actions have affected the economy, there's been this kind of, I suppose the focus has been, it's their last year, they're not really looking at what they can do to improve anything because it's an outgoing administration. So stuff like this, like reviewing the pay structure for civil servants for the next administration that comes in, do you think is even something feasible, or it's a conversational topic, or do you think that that's just going to be something by the wayside because they won't be able to do it?
Well, they have to, right? It becomes top priority because the last administration is dumping it on their head, putting it in the consciousness of citizens. So people are going to be clamoring for that, for the new one. And it's not just salaries. So to answer your question, yes, it's supposed to be feasible. It's supposed to be upfront. Do they have the money for it? That's another question. Another thing Buhari is dumping on the next government is the ways and means debt. That is the money they borrowed from the central bank. It's about 22 trillion ahead.
And then they've been breaking laws for this thing, but okay.
Right. So he's moved that one to the next government. So take this debt, deal with it. Oh, by the way, increase salaries for civil servants. Oh, by the way, I'm removing subsidies, fuel subsidies in, what did he say, June or July, which was supposed to do this June or July, but kick that one down the road. So they are just dumping things on the next administration's head, which good luck to whoever becomes the next president that has to, in 4 years, do things drastically enough that they're going to bring pain to everybody and in order to fix things. So now they might actually kick stuff down the road, and the cycle just keeps going.
It's just interesting because it's not like the APC is not out of the mix when it comes to who might be running the next administration. The APC is in the mix. So as you're kicking this can down the road, your party may still have to bear the brunt of it. It's interesting.
Indeed.
Let's read some messages. Peter from Festac says they want to entice the civil servants, of which most of them don't go to work. Why do the outgoing administrations always set up the incoming administrations? That's a good question. And Otunuga says, Rotus, why would a government that has less than 6 months in office be muting the idea of raising salaries? Of raising salaries when the same government is spending about 80% of revenue to service existing debts. It just shows the unseriousness of this government. Okay, I think it was musing the idea of raising salaries.
Yeah. I mean, they're just they're not planning on doing anything. It's just, if that was the case, you would have a revenue structure. They would have come out with more details, told you what's going on. So it's just. Nigerians just need to hold their governments accountable and send messages of, and again, it all comes down to voting. It all comes down to sending a proper message to government. Until we do that, we'll continue to be taken for a ride by these folks. A number of these ministers should have lost their jobs by now. They should have been kicked out, or
Everybody
recalled.
has been looking at Emefiele, Rotus.
Lord.
He wasn't going anywhere. Nobody else was going anywhere.
Have you noticed nobody has heard from Emefiele? It's so sad.
When they start bringing up terrorism, why wouldn't you disappear for a while? Let's take this one from Yinka, Yinka Bolu says, Rotus, ? Which Ghana? That Ghana? The same Ghana? But Rotus, if ASU can come up with UTAS, why can't they also come up with a funding model for universities? I believe our problems are simple. Just end subsidy first.
Well, if you take away subsidies, prices spike, and when prices spike, people get very angry, and that's why I think they suggested pushing. They've even suggested pushing the subsidy back, as removing it till later to the end of 2023. To quote, give the new government some breathing room, because I'm buying fuel for over 200 naira now. I don't even want to stay in line, killing myself. So. That's yet another.
Rotus, you know how about it? Oh, I wish we had talked about this. Well, maybe you did actually, seeing as I was gone for 2 days. But the fact was, Christmas Day, I was like, oh yeah, on Christmas Day, nobody's gonna come out queuing for petrol.
Right, exactly.
What a lie I told myself, because the queues were extra long.
Yep. I remember NNPC promised that by Christmas, the fuel situation would have been sorted out. They promised that. It just hasn't happened.
African timing. So I went to, we've actually run out of time, but let me just quickly tell you, I went to Abeokuta on the 26th of December, on Boxing Day, and I could tell where a petrol station was because the road was so free, and then you would just see a huge line of cars, petrol station. So many queues everywhere. There was no petrol station along the road that didn't have cars queuing up. That didn't have cars.
Do we deserve this, Shockwell? And we end the show on that. Do we deserve this? That's the question for everybody to ponder as they get ready to vote. Do we deserve this? There you go.
See, I said, and the person I was with, I said, life shouldn't be this hard. It should not be this hard to live life on a daily basis. All right, well, we've come to the end of the show, but you can always keep the conversation flowing with Rotus. He is up on Twitter and Instagram at Rotanquote. There you go. Yep. And Rotus, I'll see you tomorrow for a Tech Friday Business Express.
All right.
I'll
see you.